All right, here we go, and a happy Friday to each and every one of you. We welcome you to Dialed In. I'm Tom Brenaman. Pleasure to be joined, as always, by our producer, engineer, Mr. Everything, Casey McAllister. Good morning.
Good morning, Tom.
How you doing?
Doing great.
I figured I'd see you a little down in the dumps. We can get to FC Cincinnati in a minute. They get lit up.
Yeah.
They've been on a roll, been the hottest team in sports, maybe.
Possibly.
Thought you'd be a little down about the T. Higgins, Jamar Chase stuff. We'll get into that later, but you're okay.
I'm okay, Tom. I mean, the FC thing, I'm chalking it up to they were just ready to be on their break because they're now on an 18-day break.
Yeah, 18 days. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how those breaks work, so.
Well, no, I don't, but I know that they occur. So, all right. Jimmy, good morning. How's everything? Jimmy Collins, you all right?
Doing well.
Yeah.
As always.
Got two guys in that go to college in the state of Indiana. So Jimmy goes to Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Congratulations on, Luke here. Luke Brenaman, welcome to the program. And IU, sporting the IU.
Got to do what you got to do. Thank you.
Got to do what you got to do. Now, see, Luke was the two-time Ohio lacrosse goalie of the year.
Casey, mute him, please.
Really? Two years in a row, junior and senior year.
That's
goalie
awesome.
of the year in Ohio. We were watching your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. What's that dude's name? That goalie guy's a stud.
Liam Entenmann.
Have you ever met him?
I've never met him, no, but I've met the Kavanaughs before.
The Kavanaughs are the studs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Well, they had three of them go through there, right?
Yeah.
Two now and one last year?
One was like 15, 16. He played with like Perkovic. And then the two now.
Yeah, the two now. Man, that's exciting stuff to watch. Do they get excited about that at Notre Dame?
Yeah, they do now. I mean, the lacrosse program's always been pretty good. So, like, people knew they were good. But then last year when they, like, made the Final Four,
Yeah.
they had that comeback win against, I think, UVA.
Yep.
And then they won the national title this year. It was, like, a big thing because, like, go back-to-back, kind of a little dynasty. It was a big thing for their coach, too, because they'd been really good. He'd never won.
Yep.
And now he's won back-to-back.
Back-to-back.
We'll see where he goes from there.
I'm sure that they're not going to let the pedal off the gas. You can book that because they are loaded.
Yeah.
Okay, we come your way. Now, we're a little earlier today, so we're waiting for everybody to try to jump in. You know, these young guys are tweeting everything out, right, about a change of time. Normally, we come your ways on Mondays at 9:15 a.m. That is live. And then on Fridays, generally speaking, we come your way at noon after Off the Bench. But we have to be a little flexible here. Studio time, we got some changes going on. We got a big trip coming up next week. Have we announced this?
No, we've not.
So I should just shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, we haven't said anything yet.
When is that going to be announced?
I believe Monday. We're going to announce something probably Monday about the big plans for next week.
All right, we got big plans next week, I'm telling you. And I'm, so you know me, I don't like to blow stuff out of proportion here. Casey, run that up. Next week, the end of next week is going to be huge for us. So we post on Mondays on the Believe Network. We post on Fridays on the Believe Network. We'll try to fill you in on everything at Tom Brenaman TV. Follow us on X. You can download anywhere you get your downloads. Just search Dialed In with Tom Brenaman, and you're dialed in. Okay, now look. Today's the final day of May, and it has been an unmitigated disaster for the Cincinnati Reds in every way imaginable. You know, you go back to the injuries, right? Encarnacion Strand, Friedl, came back, got hurt again. Lodolo, Pagan, that group joins the likes of Matt McClain and Ian Gibault, the suspended Noelvi Marte, who's due back very soon from the suspended list. So, you know, we've said this before, but it bears repeating as we're getting ready to start June. It is unfair to truly try and evaluate this Reds team because based on the number of good, if not sometimes great players that have missed significant playing time, it simply would not be fair. But let's be honest, the losses just keep on coming. They teased some of you a little bit with that 3-game sweep over the Dodgers. The Dodgers came in here sleepwalking for 3 days. and give it up to the Reds. It was kind of like a wake-up call for the Dodgers because then they just blow right into New York and sweep the Mets right after. So, look, they teased you. They weren't fooling us here. They promptly lose 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. And boys and girls, you say whatever you want. The Cardinals stink. They stink. Arenado finally had one good game. They're starting, if they think they're going to win with the Kyle Gibsons and that starting, the Lance Lynns of the world, who have had very good careers, that team stinks. I tell you who else stinks. The team they're playing starting today, the Chicago Cubs. 3-game series at Wrigley, always a ball, right? Criag Counsell's team just went to his old home in Milwaukee and got their brains beat in 3 of the last 4 days. Say whatever you want. Now, I'm not saying it's going to last, but the Brewers are, that franchise, they are very, very impressive. You got to give it up to them. I mean, they lose their 2 best pitchers from last year. They lose guys every single year. They had the best closer in baseball who got traded 2 years ago, and they just keep winning. Graham Ashcraft faces Javier Assad, 220p, first pitch today. Reds are 8 games under, 9 games back in the National League Central Division. The Cubbies with a $200 million payroll. They are a game under 500, only 5.5 out. College baseball, that's right. College baseball. Is it just me or does it seem like, Casey, NKU, your alma mater, did you know they had a baseball team?
I did know that. I did. I don't know anything about them, but I know they have a baseball team.
Okay.
Is it Dizzy?
Is it just NKU and the University of Kentucky? Are those seem like the only 2 local schools that we ever talk about playing in NCAA tournaments anymore? Seriously.
Yeah.
Xavier, UC, no NCAA tournament. NKU's been there. Kentucky's there like clockwork, right? Well, now it's baseball. Same thing. So the Norse today take on the number 1 overall seed in this year's tournament, Tennessee. That game is in Knoxville on Tennessee's home field tonight at 7 o'clock. Then you have Kentucky. Who would have thought Kentucky has the number 2 ranked baseball team in the country? Kentucky. That's the case. They play at home against Western Michigan this afternoon. That starts at noon. And then your school, the Fighting Hoosiers.
Yes, sir.
They're ready to go.
They snuck in. They weren't supposed to
but
make it.
But they earned their way in.
No, they really didn't.
They were hot at the end.
They were hot at the end, but they went into the Big Ten tournament pretty much saying to themselves, we have to win the Big Ten tournament. And everybody, when it comes to the top dogs in the Big Ten, lost. The top seed was an early exit. That's a double elimination tournament, so not typical when it comes to – everyone compares it to the college basketball tournament, I would say. But they snuck in. They got to play in Knoxville against the overall 1 seed. That is going to be a little intimidating, but they play Southern Miss today at 1 o'clock. We'll see how the Hoosiers do. It was a good time. I called a lot of those games
I know
this
you
year.
did. They can hit.
They can hit, and they've been able to hit.
That's right.
The
they can hit. I don't know if they
came
can
together
pitch.
recently.
That's right. I don't know if they can pitch good enough to have a run, but they can hit. So we'll see. NBA playoffs, finals are set to begin in a week.
Yeah, I know.
This is like the MLS. I mean, it really is. I mean, are you kidding me? The Celtics have been done for 4 days, and because they put it on the calendar, right, building it in for 7, baseball doesn't do that. And baseball rarely gets anything right. But when one league championship series is over, the next league championship series is over, it's time to go.
Well, what about football?
They've got some momentum right now. They've got some momentum, the NBA right now, and now they're sitting around for a week. We'll get to that a little bit later on. Last night, the Dallas Mavericks finish off the Minnesota Timberwolves 4-1 in the Western Conference Finals. Luka and Kyrie each go for 36 big ones. I've always been a big Kyrie guy on the show. A lot of you guys kill him. 124-103 the final last night. That sets up a matchup in the NBA Finals with the Boston Celtics. Boston, the Eastern Conference champion, they are an early favorite in Vegas. Bengals news, voluntary OTAs, downtown, Burrow looking great. No T, no Jamar, there are no shows. Remember, it is voluntary. They're watching other receivers around the league, though. Get the big dough. Jalen Waddle, for 3 years, $84.5 million, 76 of that guaranteed. That makes him the 4th highest paid receiver in the NFL. He's had 3 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Is Marty Brenaman ready yet?
Let me check in on him real quick.
Okay. We have Marty Brenaman coming up on the program here in a matter of seconds to talk about the Cincinnati Reds and really anything else that might be on his mind. And generally, there is a lot on his mind. And Luke, you have come up with the idea that we're going to play a little buy and sell with Marty today, right?
I like that. It's Friday. We got a lot to talk about, and why not do it with Marty Brenaman?
Why not? We have 3 Brenamans here. I apologize to Casey and to Jimmy. We have the Brenna men here, as we like to.
I don't like that.
What?
I don't like that. That's corny.
Works.
What?
I think it works.
Corny. Guy has no sense of marketing. If you were going to do something like this, what else would you call it besides Brenna instead of M-A-N, Brenna-M-E-N, plural?
All right, it works. But you added me in when you said we like to call it that.
You don't like it?
I'm not saying I dislike it. It's just maybe a little cocky.
Who came up with that, Casey? Because I know you guys use that as to introduce us when we come on off the bench. Did you come up with that?
I don't want to take all the credit for it. I think it was just a natural
I
thing.
think you can take the credit. You're just not taking credit for it, right? Be honest.
Take the credit.
Sure, I'll take credit for it. I called it the Brenaman because there's multiple Brenaman.
Yeah.
No, it works great. It works great. I just think as if I said it as a quote-unquote Brenaman, it is corny in that regard.
Okay.
But it works. Let's do it.
Okay. Is he ready to go?
He's dialing back in.
He's dialing back in.
He's having some issues.
Oh, my gosh.
Sir Boy Wonder's here. Great to have him back. I don't know if he ever left, but John is here. John says the Reds have no heart. We're going to get into all of this here in a minute. Who else is in the chat today? Lots of guys. Polly Brenaman is in the chat. Are you kidding me? Your mom, my wife.
I just said, oh, my gosh. I mean, she gets the day off work today, and she's doing this at 9:30. That's big time. Maybe the marketing's working.
Maybe she was tuned into the Brenna men.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right. Everybody welcoming Polly up in the chat. Sir Boy says, Dienson!
All time.
Have I ever told you that story? Jimmy, you don't know this story while we're waiting on
No,
Marty.
I don't.
So the Reds a few years ago had this young guy. Everybody thought actually he was going to be a good player because he could really hit.
Yeah.
A guy named Dilson Herrera. So he hits a home run to win a game, and as the ball goes in the seats,
walk-off single.
Oh, was it a hit? Okay,
hit.
And I say, Dilson, right, like one of these deals, right?
Yeah.
Luke, the next day, we're going to his junior high basketball practice or high school off-season basketball practice thing. And he's telling me how brutal this call was, right? We walk in the door. The head coach of the varsity team, a guy named Dave Caldwell, he comes walking up, right? Literally, we walk in the door to the gym. He comes walking over. Man, that call was freaking awesome last night.
That was definitely a humbling moment there. I remember telling you that, and then some of the older guys that, and at the time the varsity players,
right,
that were big Reds fans, they were telling you the same thing, and it made you feel a lot better about the call.
Yeah, because I had just been berated.
Looking
by my
back
son.
on it, it was a pretty funny call. I liked it. I think a lot of the announcing nowadays is very corny.
Have you seen the A's announcer?
Scripted. I mean, we were talking about that earlier.
Who?
The A's.
Let's ask Marty Brenaman about that. Although, it's unfair to ask broadcasters about other.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like doing that either. Although, maybe your granddad, my dad does. Dad, how goes it?
I'm all right, boys. How's everybody back there? It's been a long, long time, and it's been a almost tearful reunion this morning.
It really is. And you have your grandson on board here today, who you just were
I know,
teeing him up with the other day.
That's why it's so special. I got a feel for all of his opinions and ideas for 4 hours on the golf course, so I feel like I'm ready to rock and roll.
Did he wear you out?
A little bit. No, he
can talk.
He's fun. He's fun to be around. I enjoy his company immensely.
Thank you.
All right, Luke, get us started with Papa Marty here, as you like to call him. We're talking Redlegs baseball right now as we're getting ready to get out of the month of what has been a brutal month of May.
Okay, we're going to do some buy or sell later.
Right.
But just to start, generic Reds. Obviously, they dropped 2 of 3 to the Cardinals. They didn't play last night. But they won 4 in a row, and I'm sure Off the Bench talked about that, and Chatterbox Reds was definitely – it was exciting nights on YouTube after the games, and that's what Chatterbox Reds is for. That's great stuff to tune into. But if you look at the bigger picture, guys, the Reds are 1-9-1 in their last 11 series. And obviously that's pathetic. The month has been awful. But I will ask both of you this question. At this point in the year, what are they, 8 or 9 games under 500?
Yeah, 8 games under.
Would you rather have what they – because the only consistent part about this team is that they can pitch but they can't hit. So would you, in this position they're in now, would you rather have the pitching and no bats and hope that they wake up, or be scoring 5 or 6 runs every night and losing because of the pitching in the bullpen?
Dad?
Well, I think that's a question to begin with, Luke, with all due respect, because it is what it is. I mean, are you asking us, are we at a point now where we want to start to unload some people and bring in guys that potentially could give you more offense? Or are you saying stick with what you got, have faith, the pitching has been very, very good, which it has, and then take your chances on the rest of the way? I turn it back into you as a question.
I think that you have to take what they have right now, because if anything can get hot, it's bats. I don't necessarily know if spin rate or better movement or better stuff is just going to come out of nowhere for a bullpen and pitching rotation. But at a time where you go 1-9-1 in a month, the bats are really going to have to heat up, because we're going to get into the buy or sell later, but this is starting to look like a team that could very well lose the NL Central.
Well, then, let me play the devil's advocate here now. You have played 24 and 32. You played 56 games. What makes you think this team's offense is going to all of a sudden revert back to 2023 when it hasn't happened yet?
Absolutely.
Well, see, here's the thing, though, and it's I think it's unfair to expect that's going to happen, because you don't have so many of those guys regularly in the lineup. Who knows when Encarnacion Strand is coming back? Friedl comes back a little bit early. He had missed the entire year. He comes back for a week. He gets hurt again, gets hit by a pitch. He's out. You don't have McClain. He's out. Fraley, Benson, those guys, Candelario have been huge disappointments. I mean, people can say whatever they want about Fraley's batting average and that kind of thing, but you're paying that guy in Great American Small Park to hit the ball in the seats. Dad, for me, that's the thing that stands out the most to me, is this team has zero power. Ellie De La Cruz has hit 1 home run and has 6 extra base hits total in the month of May. And he's the only guy I feel like, I don't know about you, he's the only guy I feel like, when he walks to the plate, has a legitimate chance to maybe put the bat on the ball and hit the ball in the seats.
I made the point in the preseason, and there were Reds fans that jumped all over my ass because I offered up a negative, God forbid, after last year. And I simply said, all the Reds fans who automatically lose realistic approach to this whole thing and say, well, they were 82 and 80 last year. They're going to be even better than that this year. You got to consider certain things, one of which, and I used the term back in February and March, don't forget the old sophomore jinx, a phrase applicable only to baseball. Funny things happen the second year. For whatever the reason, it just happens. And the best case in point that hits home here is Jonathan India. He was Rookie of the Year a few years ago. Second year, next year went to the tank. Now, injuries may have been a factor in that deal, but you can't discount at a group of young, talented players like this club has, and I still think they're very talented, you automatically think, well, they're going to equal or surpass what they did last year. That's not the way it normally works. And what we are seeing is a case issue right here, a primary example of what sophomore jinx is all about. Now, this team now has to all of a sudden figure it out, and that's an easier said than done. I'm tired of hearing there's still plenty of time. That's a tired return now in terms of what happens with this team. And the other thing is they're in the most critical month of their entire season because starting with the Cardinals series last week through the month of June, they played 23 games inside the Central Division. It hasn't started well, but they've still got plenty of time in this month. If you roll into July, and this club's 9 games back right now, you roll into July and you're 13 games back, you take it to the house.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I just sit here and, you hear people saying around town, and look, it's an easy thing to say that, they've gotten all this great pitching and the offense has wasted that great pitching. And, people will say, well, what's going to happen next is they'll start to hit and the pitching won't be as good. I have to say that I know Abbott had a little hiccup the other night, but, it's getting to a point now where even a guy like Abbott, when he has a bad game, and 6 runs is a bad game, but he gave you 6 innings in the game. He didn't get knocked out in the 3rd. Hunter Green looks like a totally – I got to tell you, Dad, Hunter Green is starting to look more than legit.
He looks like a number 1 starter right now, and he's in a very good place. I am and still will be a Nick Lodolo fan. I just worry about he's got a bit of a China doll syndrome in him because he can't seem to stay healthy. But when he is, he's very good. I'm a big fan of Graham Ashcraft and also of Abbott. Frankie Montas, for me, has been a disappointment. Nick Martinez has been exactly what they wanted. They talk about, well, he's been an outstanding reliever, but we're going to try him as a starter. Starter did not work and never has worked for him. But as a relief pitcher, he's been very good. I have yet to see any kind of consistency out of Montas that makes me feel like he's going to be as good as they thought he would be.
Yeah, I agree. Let's take a quick break for local radio here in Dayton, Ohio, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. All right, welcome back to Dialed In with Tom Brenaman here with Casey, Jimmy, Luke Brenaman, Marty Brenaman, the Hall of Famer. Great to have you with us. One thing I want to this is a fine line because we have so much time left here. But it's something that if you're the general manager, these are the kinds of things that you are paid to do. This is your job, part of it.
Correct.
We have 2 full months to see what will happen between now and the end of July on where the Reds are. I don't think anybody in a million years thought the Reds potentially could be major sellers at the trade deadline. A lot of people felt like they had the team together. They could be adding pieces come the trade deadline, and it may turn out to be true. But do you think the Reds would start to sell again at the trade deadline?
Boy, that's a good question. I after having done it en masse, 2 years ago, that's a great question that the one guy that will be asked that question and will have to to come back with an explanation or show people by his mere actions which way he's going is Nick Kroll. Nick Kroll, I'd hate to have to make that decision from a public relations standpoint, knowing how well this club was last year and how high the expectation was in 2024, which so far has been unfulfilled. I don't know. I wish I had an answer. What do you think, Luke? Do you think they should sell or stick with what they got once the trade deadline gets here?
Well, from the lineup perspective, you don't have anything to sell.
That's
I guess when we talked about this on Off the Bench a couple weeks ago, I think a couple of the Reds starters take a Will Benson is a terrific utility player on a team that can win a World Series or compete for a pennant, where he can come off the bench, he can play multiple positions, he could pinch run if you really needed something like that. I think the Reds have a couple guys like that, but you're not going to go get any killer prospect for trading a utility player. And that's what the Reds would ultimately be looking for. When it comes to pitching perspective, obviously there's something there, but that's more of like, hey, maybe a Graham Ashcraft or someone like that. You're not going to go deal Nick Lodolo or Hunter Green. These are guys that this entire Cincinnati Reds youth and pretty much organization right now is counting on De La Cruz, Lodolo, and Green, and hopefully Marte, if he stays off the juice, to kind of be the 2-2 when it comes to pitching and hitting that's going to bring this ball club back and make them competitive again. So from a selling perspective, I don't really think you have anything to sell. If you want to get rid of pitching, hey, at that point, just go ahead and clear house, because then you're pretty much aiming to lose well on track or at least win shy of 60 or even 50 games if you're going to go sell pitchers at the deadline.
That's exactly right. You right now with all the guys that are out, unless you're going to look at, a guy like Candelario, right? I mean, you just signed him to a multi-year deal, but if he got hot, would you trade him? No doubt they would trade Montas. He's on a 1-year deal. But, I mean, you're waiting on Encarnacion Strand. You're waiting on McClain. You're waiting on Marte. There's a lot going on. All right, Luke, you have a buy or sell round. First time we've ever done this with Marty Brenaman.
I do.
All right, let's go.
So let's stay with the Reds. We got 4 buy or sells.
Casey, you got the button ready to go?
Yep, hang on.
2 are Reds.
Sell. All right, good.
All right. To start, buy or sell, the Cincinnati Reds finish dead last in the NL Central.
Dad, buying or selling that?
I'm buying that.
Wow, hit it. Buy.
That was a little. You could tell it took a lot out of him to say that.
It does.
It did. Well, no, you know what? Let me rethink that. I'm going to back off of that. No, because I agree with something, Tom, you said in the opening of the program about the Cardinals. I don't think they're very good. And I agree with you. I don't think the Cubs are very good. I think Milwaukee right now, when you look at what they've done and the way they've played, they if somebody doesn't put a halt to what they're doing, they're going to run away and hide from this. Everybody else by the All-Star break at the rate they're going right now. So no, I changed my idea on that.
All right, hit sell. Sell. I'm going to sell that too. Hit it again. Sell. Luke?
I'm selling it, but I want to add in another one on my own. I couldn't disagree with all of you guys more that the St. Louis Cardinals are going to finish second in this division.
Okay.
And I think it's pretty obvious. Obviously, the Cubs started off extremely well, but that lineup, just look at it. It's not any good, and it actually has freakishly a lot of similarities to the Cincinnati Reds, and keep Cody Bellinger and Ellie in that same slot.
Yeah.
They both hit 270. They're both pretty much the only guys. I mean, the Cubs do have Morel and a couple other heads that can go deep here and there, but the Cubs in the past month have had nearly the same month as the Reds have.
Yep.
They're not winning any series. They've lost like 15 of their last 20 games, and it's all in shambles right now in Chicago. I think the Cardinals, from a lineup perspective, when they start playing divisional games, they're going to be able to hit.
Okay.
And this division, they can't hit right now.
Let me add one thing to that. Just because if you're right, they finish second, that doesn't mean that they don't stink. Because you've got the Milwaukee Brewers and 4 also-rans right now.
That's
a good point. But for the Reds finishing last in the division, I personally sell that. I think when they get Marte back, when they get Matt McClain back, TJ Friedl is going to be back healthy. They are going to go on a couple more of these 4-game win streaks. They're going to rally some series together, and they'll figure out a way to, they'll be in competition for last, but I don't think that they will finish last.
Okay. All right, next up, what's the next one? Let's go.
Buy or sell, Hunter Green is entering a dominant era of his career. I didn't want to throw in the word prime because he's so young, but is this go time for Hunter Green moving forward, or will he regress?
All right, I'm buying Hunter Green.
I'm buying big time. I'm buying big time to that.
Yep. You, Luke?
I'm buying it.
Okay.
He's going 6 innings his last 3 starts. He's pitching. His ERA is going to be below 3 within the next week if he keeps pitching the way he's going.
And he's not all worried about the strikeouts anymore. It's always easy to say, and Randy Johnson used to say all the time, I don't care about the strikeouts, I want to get outs. Well, that's like saying I don't care about money, but I have a lot of money, right? I mean, it's the truth. And Johnson has the second most strikeouts of all time, only to Nolan Ryan. But Hunter Green has been a more effective, more productive pitcher when he's not striking out as many batters because he's so much more pitch efficient. All right, what's next? We got a couple more.
All right, this is a good one, and I know you guys won't like it. Buy or sell the Dallas Mavericks, Western Conference Final champions, have the most talented backcourt in NBA history.
NBA history?
NBA history.
And where are you coming from to get that?
Everywhere, because everybody's talking it that covers NBA basketball. And I think it's a pretty straightforward answer. It's not the best backcourt. It's not the best scoring backcourt. It's the most talented backcourt. I think it's a runaway no-brainer. I'm buying it.
So that's Luka and Kyrie.
Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Well, they combined for 72 points last night. That ain't too bad. Dad, you buying or selling that?
Well, to begin with, let me make a point here. I'm not qualified to answer that question because, and listen very slowly in case you miss the interpretation of what I'm getting ready to say, I don't give a damn about the NBA. So,
I told you.
So if you say that, Luke, and given what Doncic and Kyrie Irving, who, by the way, could not guard me, Kyrie Irving, I don't really care whether they're the best backcourt at all. The proof of the pudding will be now they're facing a pretty good Boston Celtics team beginning next week, and we'll see how those guys fare. Can't wait to see the reception that Kyrie Irving will get in Boston when he shows up for the first time.
And we will talk more about that a little bit later on.
Are you buying or selling?
I'm kind of like my dad. I don't think I'm qualified to answer the question. I'm curious if you would think that Jordan and Pippen would be considered backcourt players. That three is a swing man.
Absolutely.
And Luka you could throw in as a swing man.
No. Luka is a true point guard. Just because he's big, he's carrying the rock 90% of the game.
All right. Well, if you're going to throw – I think you can make the argument that at times if Pippen was with Jordan, I mean, offense and defense combined.
Correct.
Remember, those two guys won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards.
Sure did.
Boy, and as far as athleticism is concerned, there's zero contest. None.
That's fair, but
yeah,
to see what these guys are doing on a nightly basis, 35 a night, and it's kind of pick your poison because Kyrie is the flashy dribble moves, and Luka is just going to slow you to sleep and hit a rainbow in your face, and you can't do it. I think it's pretty fun to watch.
All right, we got one more, two more.
We have one more.
One more.
It's not necessarily a sports topic, though.
Okay, let's go.
Are we buying or selling individually Marty, Tom, and Luke's golf games as we head into June?
Golf games. Okay, these two play all the time. I never play. But I do realize that if I got back out and played again,
here we go,
that I would handle both of these guys in about a month and a half. So I'm buying my game. Hit it, Casey. Buy. Buy. But you have to play if you're going to buy that, and I don't know if I'm going to get out and play. Dad?
You're talking about all three of ours as one. Is that correct, Luke?
Sure, or you can do it individually, whatever you
no, I'm buying yours. I'm damn sure not buying my son's, and I'm not buying my game. Okay. I'm not buying mine or yours, but I'm buying Luke's. Luke's going to get a lot better, and he ain't bad right now.
Yeah.
As of my, Monday round with Papa
You were ready to quit.
Tuesday round with
That's
Papa
right.
Marty. Played terrible. I'm back on the train. I'm playing good golf right now. I'm buying mine. I'm selling my dad's. I'm buying Marty's. Marty.
That's a kiss-ass move.
No, okay. Marty.
Straight up kiss-ass move.
I caddy.
Snuggling up to the guy with all the dough as
times
opposed to the guy with no job.
Marty can walk an 18-hole golf course. He can play quick. He can get around. I deal with people who cannot do that on a daily basis. I respect his golf game. And I can't say the same about the guy to my right. But that's buy or sell.
Hey, Luke, what about Amanda's?
Oh, I'm buying that too.
And your mom's.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely throwing a ton of money. Press buy. I'm buying my mom's golf game all day. She can hit the ball. Amanda can pound the ball. I would definitely say that the women in our family, at least the two older women in our family, 2v2, maybe some YouTube content there, they are blowing you two away. It is easy.
That's a good question, Luke.
He's tired, and you're tired, and we're tired, and this segment is tired. So it's time to roll. Casey, thank you. Dad, thanks for the time today. We'll see you later.
I love this. We got to do it again.
We'll do it again next week. We'll do. Luke's going to be on the program every week. We'll do it again next week.
See you,
okay,
Papa.
guys. Have a good day.
All right, have a good day. Now, see, we ought to go out and sell that segment.
We should.
What's a good, well-known, like, family business here in town? There are a bunch of them in Cincinnati. But what's like a big-time family business that would say, hey, I want to sponsor that segment?
Well, I mean, I think of like when I think of like some of the
Their
family,
boy says Hooters would be a good one.
Twin Peaks.
Sure, boy.
I was thinking Skyline. We haven't had Gold Star or Skyline on this program yet as a sponsor, and they always kind of advertise like, it's tradition, it's family, it's Skyline time, right? Maybe. I don't know.
Well, see, the thing is about Skyline, though, is that it's not a family-owned, because they have franchises.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, the guy who's the president of Skyline now is a former Reds general manager, Dick Williams.
He is.
Yeah. So, I mean, somebody who said this here in the chat, I got to put on my glasses. Fred had a good one. He said, Jeff Ruby. That's a family-run operation.
That's a good one.
Right? He's got his daughter, Brittany, who's the CEO. They've got Brandon. I mean, they've got everybody around there. That's a good one. Somebody said Lars Lane.
That's a good one. Never had it, but maybe they could come sponsor us and we could be eating on the show.
You know one that I just thought of that I think is the one that we got to go after?
What?
Is La Rosa's.
Well, we have a relationship with La Rosa's.
I know, but I mean go after this big time.
I had La Rosa's last night.
You did?
Best pizza at Dewey's best pizza in Cincinnati.
So there goes our sponsor. I mean, are you shitting me?
No,
I mean, are you kidding me? You just say that on the air when I'm trying to pitch La Rosa's?
La Rosa's is a different style of pizza. It's a fast food, quicker pie, close second. But Dewey's is like a very famous, that's also a family business.
Family business in DeWitt family, but La Rosa's has been around forever.
That's true. But I think La Rosa's has definitely taken some heat from Cincinnatians recently. I am a full-on La Rosa's stan. I'm a big La Rosa's guy. Been that way my whole life.
Roger says Luke will now not be on next week because we won't have a sponsor. What's your favorite za here in town? Got to be La Rosa's.
I'm actually kind of lame when it comes to the pizza stuff. I like Domino's. I like their pan pizzas.
Okay, all right, I got it. How about you, Jimmy? You've been in town for this summer. Have you had much za here in Cincy? You're a Detroit guy.
I've never had La Rosa's, but I've heard it's really good.
I love it. All right, we got to take a break.
Yep, let's take a break.
We still got about 7 minutes left in the show. Okay.
We'll go another 10 minutes.
Am I allowed to go to the restroom now? I mean, we do this break kind of thing. Can you guys handle it for like 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's
fine. Or should I can wait 6 minutes. That's okay. All right, let's throw it a break. We'll be right back on ESPN Radio. All right, we're back on Dialed In with Tom Brenaman, joined by Luke Brenaman. We just had Marty Brenaman. He's always a lot of fun. Jimmy Collins, who's working with us all summer long. And, of course, one of the mainstays, who works with ex-professionals on a regular basis. That would be Casey McCollister. All right, I want to ask you something here now. You know what I want to ask first? We're driving in today, and Jimmy, you're a Detroit guy.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And I've always said, I think the best football fan base after Green Bay in the country, Detroit Lions fans.
Really?
I really do. They sell out every game.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they all show up. It's not like buying the tickets and they don't show up. Every time I've done a game there, the place is packed.
Yeah.
And there's been some bad games, and I've done a lot of games here.
There have definitely been some bad games there.
Well, I know that. But, I mean, but now they're on the upswing.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's really cool to see. The fighting Chris Spielmans, as we call them here. But you had a Bengals hat on the other day.
I did, yes.
What is the deal with that? I asked Luke. He said, man, he had a cool-looking Bengals hat. I'm like, why would he have a Bengals hat? He's from Detroit.
Well, I mean, I'm working in Cincinnati, and both the Reds and the Bengals are in other conference, so it's not like I'm supporting like the Bears. I would never do that.
Okay.
Yeah. He's adopted
Yeah.
the Cincinnati teams here.
Right.
I mean, he's got a Jacob Hurtubise jersey on the way. I don't know if you knew that,
Obviously.
Tom.
I knew that. I did know
Hurtubise
that.
is my favorite player.
Well, I mean, he's
Second fastest Red.
he's from West Point,
Yeah.
right?
That's a good guy
Is
to
it?
like.
I
He
didn't know
is.
that.
He's a graduate of the Army Academy.
Very nice.
That's
Salute
big
to him.
time.
Salute to him. We salute all soldiers.
That's amen to that. We just had Memorial Day weekend, and those who had the greatest sacrifice of all. We're big fans here of the military here on Dialed In. All right. I was surprised. Were you bothered? You say you're not bothered. No T, no Jamar for voluntary OTAs.
I'm not bothered by it because I know T is going to do exactly what Jesse Bates did. If he sits out, I would be very shocked.
You mean for the season?
For the season.
Oh, that ain't
yeah. I'd be very shocked. I don't think it's a big issue for him to. I would prefer him not to sit out all OTAs, right? I want him to be with the team and get used to being with Joe Burrow because I think that's just going to naturally be better for him. He's also not getting a bunch of wear and tear on his body too early. Like, I can take away some positives with this negative. I can understand both sides of it. Jamar Chase, on the other hand, he's got another year left on his contract. He's going to play. He's going to be there when it matters. He's going to be there for training camp. We don't have to worry about him not showing up until next year, in my opinion, when he either gets franchise tagged or extended. Maybe we don't even have to worry about that. You lose T. Higgins, you're basically guaranteeing yourself Jamar Chase, in my opinion. So looking at it from that perspective, I'm not concerned that they're not there for OTAs, the optional training. Guys like Trent Brown aren't there. Sheldon Rankins isn't there. Like, there's guys
I think that's coming more and more the thing. Guys, it's a chance where you could get hurt.
Yeah.
True.
And it's voluntary, and you don't have to do it. Now, let me ask you this. Burrow's coming back. Now, he's played with Higgins and Chase for 2-3 years, depending on which one you're talking about. Played with Chase, of course, in college at LSU. But last year when Burrow was playing, remember now, before he got hurt, Higgins got hurt early in the year and missed a couple of games. It's been almost 2 years since Burrow and Higgins have played together.
Yeah.
You know, it's been – now, Chase was there last year. Now, and some may say, oh, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, and maybe it is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. But does it worry you at all, you know, with the head stuff going on with T, and he says all the right things. He seems like a beautiful human being. He really, really does. So does his mom. But does it bother you that he's just not here because, hey, we're getting the band back together with Burrow healthy again. Let's get this thing rolling.
I don't hate it. I would make the argument that if T was in Jamar Chase's situation, then we'd look at it and say, hey, maybe for the sake of this team, you know you're sticking around for sure, that you should be there to gain the chemistry. I look at it from the perspective of, like you guys said, this is all we have to talk about for the Bengals, so we're going to naturally make it a big deal. If the Reds were 20 games over 500 right now, we wouldn't even talk about this on Friday's show. So a lot of people do in the NFL. It's not that big of a deal. I definitely think that there is more to be worried about in the T. Higgins situation than you think of it just from talking to you. I think that T is expecting to get paid like a wide receiver one. Obviously, the Bengals are hesitant to do it with Burrow getting the huge money, and they know they're going to have to throw a chunk at Jamar Chase, and that's what they need to do. Keep Joe and Jamar together, and there will be another good wide receiver too. None as good as T. Higgins because he is a wide receiver one on probably 60% of NFL teams. But at the end of the day, right now, there's nothing to worry about. And I think it's good that, you know, these younger guys, and especially a draft pick like Burton, is getting so many one-on-one reps with Joe Burrow right now. And it's not like two new receivers would change that too much. But Joe and Jamar, they've been playing together since college. They don't need these reps. Jamar, do whatever you want to do and come back when we need you.
But I love the fact that, and we'll wrap this up, but I love the fact that Gesicki's here.
Yeah, I like that Gesicki's there. I thought the bigger story in training camp was that Von Bell was taking the starting snaps. That's the biggest story to me.
Does that surprise you?
Doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't surprise me one bit.
But you ask Reed
Leader
Mouse,
of men.
You ask Reed Mouse and Jacob Tissett over there. They were a little surprised at the idea that, you're booting Jordan Battle down after he was one of the highest rated rookies last season. And I understand where they're coming from. You don't usually do that to the highest rated rookie in the NFL on defense last year. But it's Von Bell. Like it's right. A guy that was there for all their greatest moments, all their lows. You think about that season where he blew up Juju Smith-Schuster. You think about the interception to get us to the Super Bowl. All those different things. Leader on this team, when he is healthy, when he is what we know him to be, he's a very good safety in the NFL. I'm not shocked that he's taking starting snaps. I think I'll be shocked if he's the starter all year round. If he's the starter all year round, I have some questions about what's actually behind there. And it maybe the 31-year-old will shock me and he'll actually just be really darn good still.
That's if I were a betting man, I would bet big money, and I have every vice known to man except for gambling.
Yeah.
If I were a betting man, I would bet significant money. Von Bell is the starter in Week 1. He knows the deal. Communication was an issue. It's not like his skills have diminished. I mean, it's not like he's a year older. Yeah, I get it. But when you use the word rookie, he was a high-rated rookie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This team is all about, do we get it done, and we're all in to win right now. If Battle's a better player, he'll play. If it's even, Bell plays. There's no doubt about it.
And I think for Jordan Battle's development after such a good rookie year, a guy ahead of him like Von Bell could be really good. I mean, I know we want to see Battle play and continue the success, but talk about mentorship. Von Bell is the definition of a veteran journeyman safety in the NFL. And he made huge plays for us during that Super Bowl run. He had that interception that took us to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game in overtime. I'm glad to have Von Bell back. I think Cincinnati is too.
Yep.
And I think we should have no problem with Jordan Battle maybe taking somewhat of a half back seat to Von Bell to at least start the season.
All right. We're going to wrap it up. We got to get out of here. Jimmy, thank you.
Thank you.
Casey, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Luke, thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, Monday we're back at 9:15. We'll talk about the Reds weekend. Will it be a good weekend? Will it be a lost weekend in Chicago? Fun place to be for the weekend. I know a lot of Reds fans are making the journey up there to Wrigley. So they play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll talk all about that. We can't talk about the NBA because they've gone black for a week. And so they've gone dark on the whole thing. So it's just like, blackout for a week and, then we'll start again. But there'll be lots of stuff to talk about. There's no doubt about that. So we will be back on Monday. We thank you for joining us today. Pray for everybody to have a great and safe weekend. Thanks for being with us. See you Monday.